Senator Cramer.
I'm just compelled to ask this question because Senator Hirono asked you if you would, I think the implication was, would you carry out an order, an illegal order by the President of the United States, which there's no evidence he'd ever do and he's ever done, and it's so hypothetical to be silly. But I am compelled to ask, would you consider rescinding an illegal rule by the previous administration? Because it seems to me that an illegal rule, or at least one that's debatable, is worthy of significant legal consideration before you would do it, just because you felt like doing it.
Senator Cramer, I appreciate the way that is worded because that is exactly the way I tried to word it to the senator. And that is if the law specifically stated that the VA was not to be doing abortions. There are other areas there that we look at. So we look at a situation that came up in 2022 in which they were told to look at a rule that would get around that. To me, it was time for us to take a look at that rule and make sure, just as in every other area of VA life, that we're actually doing what the law and the intent of this body is. That's not when you get into that, for me, this is going forward and looking at all the issues. If it was just a matter of, and I have great respect for this body that's served in this body.
Right.
And what we pass actually means something. And the minute it becomes something it doesn't mean something in the administration or outside is the minute the rule of law falls down. So for me, yes, I will be looking into this. Yes, I will be confirming that it comports with the law as it is.
Thank you. I wanted to give you that opportunity
to
uninterrupted explain yourself, and you did it very well. You're hearing a lot about community care, obviously, and I will spare you all of my horror stories. I think Senator Sheehy did a remarkable job, as did Senator Sullivan, because those are big rural states. You obviously, your examples are outstanding. I would just add that it's my intention to work with my colleagues to further clarify in the Mission Act what access to community care is. In other words, we still hear horror stories from veterans who live 300 miles from the VA hospital in Fargo, or maybe 100 miles from the nearest, even SVAC, who maybe live across the street from a critical access hospital, of which we have 36 spread throughout our wonderful little state. 36 critical access hospitals who operate on the thinnest of margins. And it's tragic for me to think that there's a veteran waiting for paperwork that's being slow-walked by a bureaucrat more interested in the VA than they are the veteran. And all while there's a hospital that's barely hanging on across the street. And I'm not even exaggerating a little bit when I say that. And perhaps, I guess my question is, would you work with me and colleagues on this committee to find ways to not just streamline the process, but to guarantee it? In other words, what the default is not, have you checked all the boxes on enough pieces of paper to qualify for care somewhere else before you die trying to get far, far away, but rather you do that first and then the reimbursement comes after that. And so anyway, I'm just asking if you'd help me, if you've got some thoughts, and if you'd commit to working with us on something like that.
Senator, you've hit the whole heart of what I want to do this job. I've been asked by doing this job, why do I want to go into the VA? And it's sort of been interesting. I've had some say, congratulations. I've had some say, oh, what are you doing? Yeah. It's a large undertaking. And I said, no, I'm taking this, number one, because I care for people and I care for veterans. It's where I come from. It's what I believe. It's what I saw from up here. It's what you see as you look at to make it better. For me, the service organization called the VA is about service. It's about the veteran. As you just stated, it's not about the VA. The VA is there, and like I said, I'm looking forward to being a secretary who motivates and unleashes the power of this wonderful workforce, which I believe most are wonderful workforce that we have that want to do a good job. Absolutely. They need the leadership and encouragement to say, let's find yeses instead of nos. Let's find answers instead of technicalities. Let's find the hope in people instead of trying to find the reason to hold or delay. To me, this is about the veteran. This is about getting them the access to care that you and I and many on this committee voted for. That's why we do what we do, is because they deserve it. So for me, and Senator Duckworth, and this crosses party lines, and I appreciate the ranking member talking about bipartisanship. We had a great conversation in her office discussing how we could co-locate CBOCs with rural hospitals. If that's a possibility, could it be looked at? I committed to the senator from Illinois that that's something I would look at because it helps both sides. And so we've got to get back to the part where it's about the veteran itself. And I'm going to want to empower a workforce that wants to get up every day and come and say, I'm getting to this veteran so they get the help they need.
You, sir, are a leader with a servant's heart. Thank you.
So Cramer,